Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We live in a content-driven world. From streets to reels, we are chained to our devices. Social and electronic media is a part and parcel of every student's life. As thinkers and researchers, we have always wondered how nicotine-related advertisement impact the youth and engage them. And this drives our research. Like any researcher, we have two hypotheses to begin with. First, exposure to nicotine advertisement influences youth electronic and tobacco cigarette-related beliefs. Second, specific components identified in the discourse analysis significantly impact youth intentions. Our sample was a pool of 5 advertisements that we analyzed using a Fairclough model of discourse analysis. A normal Fairclough model of discourse analysis involves a three-dimensional framework that examines the interplay between language, power, and ideology. Now let us see the first ad.
Wow, what an ad! Let's discuss the first dimension. This vague store advertisement employs a variety of linguistic aspects and strategies to target its audience. Attractive quotes such as stop smoking and start vaping and you smoke with a nicotine, you die in the dark are designed to convince the audience that vaping is a cleaner alternative and is healthy. But we know it is not. The second dimension. It is clear that the company aims to make vaping a lifestyle choice, offering a variety of flavors and personalized experiences. The third dimension, the ad shows how companies' branded vape cases are a reason to get an upgrade in society. They're trying to communicate that they are a brand in vaping. The ad also tells how vaping brings power and potential by featuring rap songs in the background to make the message heard and felt. Let's play the second ad.
जिंदगी है कितनी हंसी है फिर भी कहीं अजब तन्हाई कैसी है वीरानियां चुपके से ये मुझसे कहे अगर भी सुलग जाने कैसी है वीरानियां जिंदगी है कितनी हंसी है फिर भी कहीं अजब तन्हाई कैसी है वीरानियां चुपके से ये मुझसे कहे अगर दिल की सुलग जाने कैसी है वीरानियां कभी तो चला की बागी दरिया drop to the floor.
The first dimension. That choose various settings to appeal to a diverse demographic strata. The linguistic elements of the act begins from the drop-down writing of Shiro that resembles the filling of a mood meter. The words used in the three acts, such as you, dot, cruising, dot, and you, dot, working, dot, emphasizes that the consumer is important. The use of present participles such as working, hanging out, cruising tells us that it's an ongoing mood lifter. The second dimension. Shiro's car advertisement communicates the feeling of compassion, showing that the smoker plans to go out so that the smoke does not disturb others. And that's when a friend introduces the brand and lets the consumer know that the ride does not have to be disturbed by the smoke break anymore. The third dimension. Shiro's cafe advertisement takes a bold stance by showcasing equality between men and women. Through a simple act of sharing a chewing gum break, the advertisement not only promotes gender equality, but it also positions the product as a unifying force. Now let's move on to the third act.
Shows a clear intervention of passion, practicality, and the youthful vibe come together in an appealing display, encouraging consumers to try Velo as a solution to all their problems. The words "tuck" and "tingle" are repeated throughout the ad. "Tuck" communicates how you can easily hide it in your mouth without anyone knowing it. Then comes the "tingle." That's the claim of Velo. This tingle and tuck can drag you to the mires of the rehabilitation center. The coming research presentation will show you how. Velo is more than just a product. It's a declaration of passion, a declaration of practicality. Velo provides a covert way to take nicotine with the convenience of office workers in mind. Velo Act shows how cool and rocking it is to take Velo, a nicotine product that is harmful for sure. Velo is not just a chew. In the context of full hip-hop party, it's a refreshing component that keeps the party going without requiring any regular cigarettes or other alternatives. That's what the ad communicates.
The study examines the messaging strategy used in the advertisement for nicotine gums and pouches made specifically for young teens. Velo, Zyn, iWave, and trade clubs are all over the world. Our study's main purpose is to motivate all people to look at ads, not just like a normal consumer, but to see it through the lens of scrutiny, so that we can understand two most important things. First, the makers want to sell it, whether it's in poison or an elixir. Secondly, they work hard to get the message across.
As per the findings of our research, Research, we would like to share some recommendations for the related stakeholders for PEMRA. PEMRA stands for Pakistan Electronic Media Regulatory Authority. It is the regulatory body in Pakistan that oversees and regulates electronic media, television channels, radio stations, and satellite broadcasting. PEMRA should improve advertising regulations for nicotine products targeting young audiences, implement age-restricted advertising, and intensify monitoring mechanisms to address non-compliances with advertising regulations related to nicotine products. For influencers and celebrity, being an influencer and a celebrity is a responsibility. People worship their actions, therefore they should carefully scrutinize the product they endorse, particularly those with potential health implications. For parents, parents should ensure to participate in enhancing media literacy education programs to educate their teenagers about the persuasive techniques used in advertising. As a parent, if you don't know, how will you protect your child? Having open lines for communication between parents and teenagers will certainly help fight the impact of such ads. For society, society should initiate community-based awareness programs to educate the public about nicotine risk, including teenagers. Schools should promote positive alternatives like sports and arts. Educational institutions should advocate for responsible advertising practices within the community. We thank our ultimate teacher, His Holiness Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin, who has been preparing the youth for a long time, which motivated us to take up this issue as our research topic. Thank you.
है अकीदा वो मुज़य्यन इल्म और ईमान से पासबां हो ये हमारे और यूं बख्तर बने हो न परवाह तीर फेंके वक्त खतरों से भरे लाख देखे ऐड लेकिन असर न मुक्ता करे.
Some finely crafted ads actually make us believe that vaping and nicotine gums are safe when they're not.
Now, let us move to our second research, which was a field research as it required us to spend some time in one of the rehab centers for patients of addiction in North Nazimabad. It was a jarring, eye-opening experience for that team, something that gave them sleepless nights. The title of this research is The Impact of Social and Emotional Interventions on the Rehabilitation Process. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The title of our research is Impact of Social Emotional Interventions in Addiction Prevention. Big words, aren't they? Social emotional interventions, addiction prevention, research. Shouldn't the teenager just like we talk about the best movie on Netflix or the upcoming board exams? Well, thanks to our community school that allowed us to investigate few questions that were in our mind using the most convenient method in the world, research study. We all know that addiction is a pressing public health issue. Yet, we all contemplate how someone hale and hearty falls into the trap of addiction. Trust me, I looked upon the internet, asked people around, and even read articles to find out the answers. However, each source provided me a different answer, and that's when we were told to investigate our answers. We assume that addiction is a dark, gloomy path from which no return is possible.
Doesn't no one thought of how tobacco and nicotine consumption leads to health issues that shouldn't be done? Yet, it is a common sight to see people around us smoking and engaging in nicotine consumption regularly. This raises the question, if everyone is aware of the downsides of the act, then why do it?
When we started to read up on the literature of our research topic, I was shocked to find that addiction is actually a mental illness. Yes, according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, addiction is actually categorized as a mental disorder. And yet, this mental disorder is taken to be a statement of style and maturity by the youth, as presented by our fellow researchers.
Now, awareness regarding the challenging and critical nature of addiction so that we can remain healthy and minds far away from this disorder. As a team of researchers, we decided to extract information from patients in rehabilitation center regarding the habits that made them fall into this habit.
We hypothesized two things before we began data collection. A. Peer influence plays a huge role in developing addiction as a habit. B. It is very challenging for an addict to recover fully. Before we move to the tool, sample, method, and findings of the research, let me share who can benefit from this study. Number 1. Government agencies and health organizations may use this research to develop guidelines for the responsible promotion of tobacco and nicotine products. Number 2. This research can help contribute to the broader field of addiction studies in Pakistan, a field yet untapped. Number 3. This research can help educate consumers about different forms of nicotine and its effects.
Now is the time to move on to our research methodology. We use mixed method for our research. We use two tools to collect data. One was a checklist prepared by our team after reading up a lot of material on rehab process and turmeric approach. This checklist contained a list of social and emotional interventions that should be used in rehabilitation center for an addict. The second was a survey questionnaire through which we get answers to some specific questions.
Once the tools were ready, we started to look for a rehabilitation center from which we could extract our samples. And thanks to our lucky stars, we found one very soon. We went upon the formalities of conducting a research study in the center and started this by acquiring the permission of the manager via a permission.
By 2020. If they see someone falling into this abyss, inform their parents immediately so they can be stopped. We highly recommend to all the stakeholders who are part of promotion of any such products to think twice before contributing to this quagmire.
Let's commit to raising awareness, advocating for policy changes, and supporting people, those affected by addiction.
Together, we can create a healthier and more compassionate society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Let us now pray that may Allah grant our Mawla, Dr. Sayyidam Sakuti, a long, healthy and prosperous life. Ameen. Thank you.
ये पहाड़ी के इदारे हो गए लाचार सब, हो गए हैं सब कुनूती, बसने वाले इसमें अब जहन में और रूह तक में ना उम्मीदी इस कदर, हो गई बेबस उनमें ये छुटेंगे इससे कब.
Now, I would like to invite two of my peers for an argument that has been raging in our classroom ever since we began preparing for the symposium.
Assalamu alaikum, esteemed guests, respectable teachers and parents, and my dear fellow students. While listening to all these presentations, I was reminded of all the struggle and effort that was taken up by teams of researchers during the past 2 years. Do you remember, Fadl Bhai, how much we were surprised when research program was announced 2 years back?
Yes, absolutely. I remember asking you that wasn't the pressure of securing good grades in exams and performing well in sports and thriving up extracurricular activity wasn't enough, that now we have to perform a research as well?
And our biggest question was why us? Isn't research something that university children perform?
Bhai, looking back now, it's revolutionary that our school took up this initiative. Research should be a full-fledged teaching method because it teaches us very valuable lessons. Beginning with soft skills that are so important. We learned risk-taking. Do you remember when the idea was pitched, it sounded like a huge risk. What if we are unable to prove our hypothesis? What if the research fails? But at those times we were told that risk-taking is the only way to learn through experience.
I can see that truly. I also saw how well they handle experience. After all, handling information is the most coveted skill in the world today. I would also like to point out handling failure. Do you remember, Fadal, how we could not gather enough data for our research? We had to call it quits.
Yes, I do. Motivation and reasoning behind the sale of nicotine product was our topic. We were supposed to collect data from the vendors, but almost all vendors said a clear no. We faced many challenges in the process, but in the end it taught us a very valuable lesson indeed, and that was handling failure.
We also learned how to investigate something using the scientific method. Data collection, sample, tool, population, hypothesis. We learned all these terms and how they are used in real life situations.
Research in class 10 is not just a ticket to better grades. It is a secret passage to understanding the world beyond textbooks. As you embark on your quest for information, you sharpen your analytical skills and you cultivate your love for knowledge. And dare I say it, impressing your teachers with a well-crafted research project.
Yeah, and the most important part is the confidence, brother. This teaching method has taught me that I can handle any complex challenge in the world. It has also made me a wonderful communicator as well. Above all, imagine the strength it is going to add into my resume.
Alhamdulillah, shukranillah, that we study in these Imani schools where opportunities are limitless. Today, we proudly wear the crown of a researcher.
Thank you.
It's true, these real life experiences teach us more about the world than any textbook can. Now, for our third research, which is based on the smoke we see around us, even though we do not smoke, people around us who smoke are putting us at risk. This research delves into the emotional stress passive smoking causes without us even knowing it.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I would like to ask a question. Do you smoke? It's too direct, I guess. Okay, let me rephrase it. Do you work or spend time in a place where someone smoke? If yes, you should really think your answer again. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. As a young lady, my mind is full of questions. I remember that I studied about smoking in my science class when I was very young. And finally, today, my school has allowed me to investigate answers to my question by using a new learning method.
As His Holiness Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin states, tobacco, alcohol and cigarettes are haram. People of this world have finally understood this and have started to make no smoking zones. Very common in offices and restaurants, these smoking zones are for those people who cannot live without a cigarette. But the dilemma is that these zones don't exist everywhere. People smoke in malls, public transport, parks, streets. And if you happen to be nearby, my dear audience, you are a passive smoker.
We have always thought it is a smoker who inhales the bad chemicals. But let me burst your bubble. It is a passive smoker too who breathes in a mixture of over 7,000 chemicals which threatens human health, even though he does not smoke. The smoke is composed of carcinogens, toxins, and irritants, permeating the air with invisible hazards. And when someone inhales it, they sadly carry the curse home with him.
Our researchers study hypothesized that passive smokers are unaware of the chemical, physical, and psychological distress that they carry home with them as a curse. It destroys their health and relationships with their families and friends. The shocking part of this hypothesis is that we assume that they don't even blame the second-hand smoke for them. Even though our textbooks and internet tells us that passive smoking can unleash a storm of health issues, from respiratory troubles to heart disease and even cancer. Chronic bronchitis and asthma are very common in the people of Karachi, and they blame the dust for it. Well, there is one bigger culprit, and that, my friend, is second-hand smoke. So let's not put everything on our dear politicians.
When we started our literature review part, there was a plethora of articles and studies telling us that a massive amount of people who is exposed to passive smoke feel lethargic and tired. And that was exactly what we were looking for. As researchers, we know it. But does the passive smoker know the reason behind of that fatigue, irritation, red puffy eyes, anger tantrums, and worst of them all, suicidal tendencies? We also found out that second-hand smokers, according to worldwide research, are bad at keeping their relationship intact. They are always involved in workplace conflicts. The killer second-hand smoke has been substantially into steering people towards a distressed and a gruesome life. WHO, World Health Organization, has introduced a law called tobacco tax in 1978. It came to life to reduce the affordability of tobacco. That helped, but situation in Pakistan is not promising. According to a study, the most sold brands of cigarettes has significantly become more affordable in Pakistan since 2016. That's made it more cheaper in Pakistan compared to its neighboring countries, a difference that has been existing over the last 10 years.
We used a mixed method to extract data from a bunch of people who were exposed to secondhand smoke, and voila, we found out some astonishing things. Our sample was big enough to support our findings, 50 people. These were the people who go out on an everyday basis and spend at least half a day out of the house. As you can see, our first finding tells us that 40% people who were daily exposed to passive smoking were shockingly and sadly students. At such a tender age, imagine the mind of youth exposed to life-altering smoke.
Hold your heart. The second finding told us that 77% people exposed to passive smoking in public places like shops and transportations, while 9% people are being affected due to their colleagues being habitual of smoke.
Now comes our aha moment. We wanted to know that if the second-hand smokers are aware of the emotional distress they are going through, we found out that 68% of the people in our society are surprisingly unaware of experiencing any distress. What in the life of
by your own hands. Hence, neither should you smoke nor harm others with it. Thank you for being a great audience.
Thank you. है मौसर इस कदर ये नशा आखिरी का पल जो रहे नजदीक इनके उसको ये घायल करे इस असर से दोस्तों नातादार यूं बेजार हो जिंदगी उनकी जहानुम हो वो हो जाए निढाल.
And now for our final research, which talks about how technological interventions can play a significant role in rehab process, and how a visit to a rehab center showed us a lack of such measures.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We live in a world teeming with artificial intelligence. In today's world, there's a tool for every problem. If you want to translate from one language to another, there's a tool for that. If you want to move the cursor on your computer with your eyeball, well, that can be done too.
We have lie detectors. We have
We have lie detectors and voice commands to ease our efforts and resolve our issues. In a world full of technology, there are many such areas in Pakistan that need to be exposed to such technological interventions, including addiction prevention.
That brings us to the revelation of the research topic, which is the impact of technological interventions on addiction prevention. Our research aims to bring forward the gap of the rehabilitation processes and technological interventions. It is important to bring in technology at the research level in terms of addiction prevention so that we can inform and prepare the youth in a better way. Our mission is to create a world where technology isn't just a tool, but a lifeline in the battle against addiction.
We had two research questions that needed to be investigated. Number one, which technologies available in our area in addiction prevention of nicotine? Number two,
what are the societal and ethical implications of using technologies, and how these technologies can be leveraged at their best. The nature of our research is a field study. Rehabilitation centers and clinics were data spots.
Before we go on to the method, tools, samples, findings, and recommendations of research, let us see some traditional approaches used in addiction prevention, and they are as follows. Number one, educational and awareness programs by communities and schools are a great help to promote awareness. Number two, we have a lot of counseling and behavioral therapies to educate. Number three, imposing taxes on smoking and nicotine consumption in countries like Australia is also a practice to prevent addiction. Number four, plain packaging laws are enforced in Canada to wrap tobacco and other such products to dissuade people from buying them. And lastly, number five, local support groups are also a great help in forming a closely-knit community of people who are trying to enlighten people about the harmful effects of addiction.
Technological interventions are used all over the world to prevent addiction. Here are some examples. Number one, platforms like SoberGrip provide connectivity, fostering companionship among individuals working towards a nicotine-free lifestyle. Number two, telehealth services have revolutionized access to counseling and therapy sessions by enabling remote consultations.
Number three, services like Quitline and online therapy platforms like Badri offer support. And number four, smart quit smoking devices like Quitmate equipped with sensors and personalized tracking features offer insights into smoking habits and trigger moments. Wearable devices such as smartwatches can integrate with station apps, providing continuous support and progress monitoring. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot out there. Let us now move towards the study to find out what are the gaps here and how can we fill them.
The focus of the study was on rehabilitation center in North Najabad to ensure a localized perspective. Our team used a comprehensive mixed methods with the limitation of small sample size, sampling bias, and localization that includes both qualitative and quantitative data analysis to analyze primary data.
The introductory and literature review phases were done. Now we moved on to the initial stages of research. Sampling and data analysis took priority, and the researchers identified a suitable rehabilitation center in North Najabad.
Our team gathered samples of 30 patients within the localized rehabilitation centers. The tools that we used were carefully crafted questionnaire and interview. Here are the findings.
Surprisingly, the rehabilitation center had all male patients. Upon asking, we were told that the addiction trend is more common in men than in women. Around 84% of the sample was from the age group 25 to 34 years, which is quite a different age. Then, around 60% of the sample considered themselves as staff-heavy, and the remaining 40% showed baseline familiarity.
Around 64% of the sample agreed that technology can be a great help in addiction prevention. Here, these findings led to us 4 recommendations we would like to share.
Number one, develop a mobile applications can be an effective strategy to help people quit smoking. These applications can track smoking habits, set goals, send motivational messages, and provide education. Examples of such applications are Quit Now and Smoke Free, which have shown positive results. The technological sector should think about creating such applications. Then, online platforms like Reddit have dedicated communities where individuals can share their experiences, offer support, and motivate each other to reach their respective goals. The rehabilitation sector should focus on building such communities.
A texting program that provides motivational messages, tips, and reminders throughout the day can effectively support smoking cessation efforts. Programs like Smoke Free TXT can increase the chances of successfully quitting by providing ongoing support and guidance via text messages. Wearable devices such as smartwatches and fitness tracker can help individuals monitor their progress, track milestones, and receive real-time feedback to improve motivation.
It is highly recommended that the technological sphere contribute to the development of such products. These the
with the light, guidance, and happiness of His Holiness Dr. Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin, who has always prepared and enlightened the youth in a way that we students aren't afraid to fly, spring, and bloom amongst all. In the end, we would like to thank all of you for being the greatest audience. Thank you.
सोच में भी है तजब्बु, पयाम ये हो जाए आँख, टेक्नोलॉजी कर पाए शर्म। अहले इल्म ऐसा करे कुछ, वो सभी फिर मोतरफ, वो समाज आजाद शर से इसके हो हासिल अदब।